Hey everyone, welcome to the dojo. And today, I guess it's November 2nd, right? So 2 days post DCL. So what I'm going to do for the community and maybe for myself as well is that because we haven't really decided as a community where we're going. I know some went to MSF, some went to Star Wars, but it's kind of like their side chick, right? It's not like they were not playing that before. It's just a side chick, and now that DCL is dead, so now they kind of went there as their full time game. But as a community, I think I owe it to people to. Well, I don't. I don't owe anything anyone. But I'm still going to do this because first I want to help a friend, and I've been talking too much. I should have said Retmus is here. Say hello, Retmus.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? Glad to be here.
Alright, so this is the first game we're going to look at. So the game isn't out yet, but we want to share to everyone and let everyone know that it's coming. So that's why Retmus is here. All right, so I'm debating this, Retmus. I typically when you bring someone on, you kind of like let them introduce. But who does not know Retmus? See, no one's raising their hands. Well, I guess you should introduce yourself outside of the nicest person on AAD. Not
Uh,
saying that AAD is a bunch of dicks, but maybe you should tell them more about yourself outside of AAD since this is kind of like your baby, right? So, oops,
right.
Biff is here.
Yeah. Red who? Anyway, I'm Retmus. I'm with the Atlantis After Dark Alliance in DCL. We did a podcast um, with a great bunch of guys. I've been programming actually for over 30 years. It is pretty much my full-time job that I do as a software developer. And I've made like little mini games in the past. I've entered contests. I've always placed within the top three of every contest that I've ever entered whenever we had contest, like community contest or official contest. I actually was one of the winners for a Game Park Holdings. They had a little handheld that they were bringing out to compete against the Game Boy, and I ended up getting second place in that contest, and I got like a contract to make video games for them.
Oh wow.
But it kind of like went belly up, so I didn't actually get to see my work come into fruition, even though I was like, oh cool, I get to have my professional game out there. And basically I kind of like shied away from making video games there for a while because work, kind of got real intense at the time. And I always wanted to, make my own game and like that was like a community driven game. And, and I remember when we were talking uh, and we were like, I wanted to make something just for us to play around with. And I was just going to make a little tiny mobile game just for the Atlantis After Dark crew to play. And that was like my first idea, like about 3 years ago. Yeah, and then I started to develop it, and then I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to make this into like a full-blown game and put everything that I've ever loved into this game. Like I love the King Arthur mythology. I like supernatural mythology. Like creatures like werewolves and vampires, and I love Robin Hood. And I was like, how can I put everything I love into one game? And that's when I came up with the altered dimensions. So I don't have to stick with just superheroes. I can have another dimension with everything. And anytime something new that I want to bring out, like I could have a whole entire dimension of Greek gods, and it's called the War of the Gods or something like that. So I am not bound by anything. And that is what my plan is. Like every 3 to 4 months, I want to release a whole entire new dimension. So it'll be like the whole entire game of DC Legends,
Right, it could be one
but
dimension, right? So
exactly.
we can have our fill of the superheroes, and then like you said, Arthurian legend, and
Hmm.
whatever else we can come up with, right?
Exactly. And the coolest thing is you get to take characters from all those dimensions and play with them together with a big overarching story, like why are all these dimensions here? You
Okay.
know, so that's what's kind of cool.
All right. So obviously, I've seen the materials prior to us streaming now. I do have one big question, Retmus. I hope you can
Okay.
enlighten me. So everyone knows like AB, right? So
Hmm.
AB is one of the first characters you've seen shown here.
Yes.
How
Yes.
how is Biff not the second character you've animated or created?
Well, I kind of the Secju was the second one I did, and the reason was I just got into a chat with Secju, and he was just giving me like little inputs here and there, and we just had like this big ongoing discussion about stuff, and I was like, well, what do you think about this? And he would give me his answers and everything, and I was just like, okay, well, that's kind of cool. And so I ended up doing him next, and then Biff was going to be third, and I started actually working on Biff to get his third one done. And I actually had the whole entire model finished, and I had a computer crash, and it corrupted the file that I was actually working on. So I had to start completely over with him.
Okay, so all I got from
So
that
yeah.
is Biff is probably at best the third best AAD member. Got it. Cool. All right.
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I
Well, that
treat them all equal. I treat them all equally. I mean, I do. It's just Sekju was always around, and he would talk to me about things that he was doing, and I was talk to him. And we just like talk back and forth pretty much like every day, and I was just like, uh, I was just made his next.
all right. I'm just teasing. I'm not trying to break AAD or cause some internal strife. I just saw
Yeah.
Biff's name and just like thought
Yeah,
about it.
that's all right. Now see, Biff just kicked me off the alliance. Thanks a lot.
Well, thank God the game's dead. So, all right. So, okay. So, obviously, Alliance Altered Dimension is based off of AAD, right? So, all right.
That was the original idea I had. I was going to throw of my teammates in there so we could play together. But this is actually a merger kind of in a way, because my original idea, I was going to create a public game that was just all these altered dimensions, and it didn't have anything to do with Atlantis After Dark or DC Legends or anything at all. It was just my idea to do what this game is. But then I was just like, well, you know what? That's when I thought I can just throw them all in together, and I can have everything I love in one. So, they'll get to be able to see, versions of themselves, the characters I've created for them, things like that. And it's like a two-in-one. So I get to make kind of like my dream game, and, I get to make the community and my friends happy.
All right. So, obviously, we're gonna get into the details, but um, I'm gonna. I want to share first the Indiegogo. Let's get the important piece out there first. All right. So,
Okay.
as I mentioned earlier, this is still in development, right? So you've
Yes.
designed a big portion of it, but of
Hmm.
course, you're right now you're a one man crew, right? So you still need some time to finish things up. All right. So I have a question for you, Ratmus.
Hmm.
Should I have joined AAD before DCL shut down so I could have my character for free?
They did get their characters for free.
Oh, I thought you did
They
this out of the goodness of your heart and because you
Well,
treat them.
they wanted to support me, and they donated. So, I mean, I probably would have just did it for free, but you know, they did. Uh, and then they didn't get to choose like any of their moves or anything though. So,
Okay, okay, okay.
yeah,
So now that makes me feel better. All right, so
yeah, yeah. Maybe you would have got a little discount.
All right. So I need a favor from you,
Okay.
Retmus, because you probably have this. Can you ping the or post the Indiegogo link into the chat so people can, will have a. I'll add this to the details later of the stream so people can, or post it all over our Discord servers. But if they want to check out your Indiegogo right now live, they can. They can. All right. So, is there a Discord for the game? I don't think there's a separate one. For now, I think
Gotcha.
you can talk to them through the AAD server. All right. Okay. So now we'll get back to this. All right. So I'm going to share the first screenshot that you shared. So this obviously in development. So this is the idea. It's not gonna be what the final game's gonna look like, but this is the essence of it, right? So your this is your dimensions, right? So do you want to talk through this, Retbus?
Yes. Okay. So like what you see here, I just wanted to on like this screen here make like a little cartoony looking selection, and there are it's all in 3D, and you can't really tell by the picture, but uh, the final version will out, you'll see the clouds moving, the water's going to be moving. There'll be like for Halloween and things like that. I'll probably have like a witch that will come out on the super dimension planet and fly around the planet, or have a superhero flying around the other planet. So they'll be animated. The background's going to be animated. Instead of just having a flat, touch a screen and go to it, I wanted to make it just 3D. And what I will have is on the left and right of the screens, we'll just have an arrow. So you'll be able to tap it and load in like the next 3 dimensions and tap again in the next three. So I was going to have like 3 dimensions per screen. And
Gotcha.
then that way, it's pretty much never going to end. And of course, you can see the Supreme Hero dimension will be kind of like the DCL that we know and love, and it's going to be full of superheroes and supervillains. Supernatural is one of the passion ones that I really, really like, because I always loved Frankenstein's monster, and I love Dracula and the werewolf, things like that. So they're actually going to be in the game. So you'll be able to play as Frankenstein's monster, Dracula, and a bunch of other things. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is a character that I'm developing that I really, really can't wait to do, because he's going to be just a normal looking doctor that's going to throw like vials of poison and acid, things like that, as his attack. But then he can get like enraged and he will turn into Mr. Hyde. And then he does like wild attacks, super strong, and he's just like a big brute beast. And I just have all kinds of different like concepts like that. And then, of course, Arthurian dimension. I mean, it really doesn't need a lot of detail. It's going to be the whole story arc of King Arthur. You're going to start off as Arthur Pendragon, and your quest is to find the sword in the stone and retrieve it. And that's going to be like the whole story arc of that game. And then after that is accomplished, then another whole story arc will open up, and you're in the search for Excalibur from the Lady of the Lake. So you have to find find the Lady of the Lake, and that's like by getting different pieces of a conch shell that you have to a mystical conch shell, and it could be in like different dimensions. So like you go to supernatural dimension, you might beat a stage, and it goes, ta-da! You've received one piece of so many pieces to form the shell. Then once you get that, you can use that item to unlock a secret stage, and then that's when you fight the Lady of the Lake to prove your worthiness. Then you get Excalibur, and then a new character is unlocked, King Arthur. It's going to be kind of like that.
Okay, so instead of like just selling the characters for $99 every month, you're
Never
going.
happen. I'm not going. You will not see a $99 and 99-cent character in my game.
You
This
will
is not.
have to go into one of those stages and earn them.
Yes, there will be characters that will be sold outright, but it will be for a completely reasonable cost. I mean, a lot of time that I have to do, to put into this game, it takes all my free time. So and plus there's all kinds of costs that a lot of people out there don't know that you have to put into this. That's one reason there's the Indiegogo campaign up. I don't know what's the server costs are going to be to keep something up like this running. So, it's an unknown. So I have to make a little bit of a profit to make sure I pay for everything and continue development. If it takes off, I want to expand, maybe get a couple employees,
Right.
a graphical artist, another programmer maybe, and then we could just make it more and more and just make it better and better with the community. But you will not see, you will never see a $99 item in my game ever. You won't ever see anything. You won't even see a $50 item in my game. It's all going to be below that threshold, so everybody can afford it and be able to enjoy it. Because that's what I want to do. I'm making it for the community, not just for myself, but for all of us. So, it's just like, oh, that new character's come out and it's meta. I got to buy that character and I have to spend $100. I don't want people to have to deal with that. I want them to come and enjoy the game.
Okay, so this is basically DCL but more noble.
I guess. Yeah, at least Supreme Hero Dimension is.
All right. So okay, that is cool. All right. So these are the first three you have in development, but of course you're gonna have more dimensions as the game progresses. Awesome.
Yes.
All right. All right.
Yeah, it's never going to end. That's what's so great about it. Not bound to one genre. So, even though we have other dimensions in the future, that doesn't mean that the Supreme Hero or Supernatural or Arthurian stops. A new character can pop out any month, for any of these dimensions as well. So don't think that like, oh, it's over, I beat that dimension. No,
you could
new characters. So
right. You can come back and update them, right? Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So I'm gonna move on to the next image that you sent me. All right. So this is Sekju. All right. So obviously he's gonna get his character. So is Sekju going to be a playable character?
Yes.
Okay. So he's gonna be one of the starter characters.
Yes, he is.
Okay. I have a question for you. If
Yes.
I am free to play, would I want to play as Sekju?
Oh, yes. Sekju is going to be a very, very cool character. He's going to have one of the unique abilities in the game, which is called Mist. So basically what he's going to do, think of it like a super breath. What he's going to do, he has an inhaler. Part of his story lore is he has an inhaler that has a condensed version of his planet's atmosphere. And when he uses it, it empowers him and makes him super powerful. But the only drawback is it wounds him because he's in another atmosphere at the same time. So he will actually lose a little bit of life every time he does this move. But he casts an ability called Mist, which actually makes the enemy have a 30% chance to attack one of their own teammates and a 20% chance to miss one of their opponents. So it's kind of a really cool ability.
Gotcha. Okay, so in-game Sekju is F2P friendly, although the real Sekju doesn't seem to like them, right?
I don't know.
All right, so I assume Biff's character is not Reddit friendly, right?
Well, everything in the game will be G/PG, so there's not going to be any foul language or anything like that.
Oh, really? Oh,
I want to
okay.
keep it, yeah.
Oh, that
I
goes...
want to keep it friendly.
Okay.
So that's why, like, Sekju's bong was changed to an inhaler instead.
I was gonna ask about that. Why an inhaler? Okay, so that's why. Okay.
Well, the issue is, like, if I like, Biff's character has gin and vermouth bottles on his hips, so those will just be unlabeled bottles, and he'll throw like a Molotov cocktail at someone. So if you use drugs, alcohol, anything like that in the game, it changes your rating when you publish a game. So,
yes, you have
wanna,
to be like mature, and then you're gonna lose. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
The podcast will still remain R-rated. Of course it will, Biff. It's
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
because if you don't, it's gonna be a whole lot of bleeps and will not understand a thing you're saying, right? Especially if duty's on, right?
Right. Biff's character is going to be a really cool character. He actually is going to have his sidekick in the game, his dog.
Oh,
So his
okay.
dog, he's going to be able to command and send his dog out for an attack. Yeah, so it's going to be a pretty interesting dynamic how that character is going to be done.
Oh, okay. So basically, the AED crew is your starting pieces, right? Starting tunes.
Right. Yes, they will be some of them. When the game is out, when it's ready for public release, there will be a minimum of 20 characters, 20
Whoa.
unique characters available.
Wow. That's quite a lot.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Okay. So now I'm looking at this. So there's agility, defense, focus,
Yes.
health, resistance, speed, strength, wisdom. Finally, what it sounds like to me is that you're gonna have like a defense for magic or special attackers. Difference. Not like DC Legends where intelligence just takes care of everything for magic, right?
Yes, you're spot on.
Awesome. Okay. And then it looks like there are six abilities at least.
Sekju is an Omega level character, so that gives him 3 active abilities and 3 passive abilities.
Oh, you kind of have like a what you call
Each,
this?
each, yeah, each classification of the characters, so it goes like this, like a beta character, which is your normal starting level character. It's going to have 2 active abilities and 1 passive, and then it goes to an alpha, which is 3 active abilities and 2 passives, and omega 3 active and 3 passives, and then omnipotent is 4 and 4. And then, of course, there's the mythical type, which is 10 total abilities, 5 active and 5 passive, but that is reserved only for the bosses in the game.
All right. So not every character is going to have the same potential because that's the one
Right.
thing in uh, DC Legend is that every character has the same potential, right? Of course, some are
Yeah,
designed better than others, but here you're gonna have like tiers for the characters.
exactly. Yeah, but you can't count out the lower tiers though, because like, okay, so like you have a beta character, he only has 2 moves and a passive. How would that character stand up to an omnipotent character that has 4 active and only 4 passives? It would get crushed. So the characters that are having less moves will tend to do a little bit more damage in that specific area of their ability. I mean, they will lose out because they can't compete with all the arsenal that the others have, but they will be like some of the best support characters you want to have on your team. Because like where you have an omnipotent character, it might be able to do a 30% heal on the team. Well, since the beta character only has 2 moves, he will be able to do like a 50% heal on the whole entire team. But does he hit stronger? No, he won't hit stronger. But some of his moves will just have a little bit extra edge as a support character, so they still have more value. Because you don't want characters in the game you can't use. So I have to have a nice balancing act. But of course, the more arsenal you have, the better the character is going to be, of course.
Right? Because
And that's why everybody, yeah,
you can be using they can be used in more situations than let's say a lower tier. However, those lower tier can be good at one thing or two things, but they won't be
exactly.
useless like in other games where if you have like a 2-star character, you're basically there just for filler.
Yes. Yeah, these will actually have purpose. So they're not a wasted character. And of course, I will get feedback on everybody, as this goes on to make sure that characters are retooled, changed. There won't be any silence. I mean, I will be very open with everybody and completely transparent.
What do you mean? But there's gonna be no silence.
Like how there was with DC Legends, we would have big.
Oh, okay. You mean like okay? I was like,
Yeah,
okay. I thought for a sec.
yeah.
My mind went to the debuff silence for a second, and I
Oh,
thought,
sorry.
and
Yeah,
I,
so in other words, it won't be like, okay, I'm off making a game and I'm putting out characters and I have to wait for you guys to come back and say this is broken, that's broken, and then you might hear something back, you might not, I might fix it, I might not. There won't be any of
yeah.
that.
There's
Yeah,
so the thing that you promise is that there's gonna be communication, and there's
100%.
gonna be transparency.
Yes.
Perfect. Like the two things that we really needed. All right. Okay. Let's look at the next. All right. So this is a sample of like of AB and SecGeo. This is in your uh, file name. It says PVE. So this is kind of like your rough like how it's going to look like, right? It's very
Yes.
DCL looking, right?
Yes. Yeah, actually, I threw them in the fighting pattern of the DCL characters. I'm going to be able to add different fighting, postures for them, so people will be able to choose. Well, I would like the classic DCL style pattern, or I like a behind the view where I see everybody from behind and they run forward and attack. So I'm going to add options and feedback, of course, from everybody. Like if someone in there is like, hey, what do you think of a top-down view or something like that? And then if it seems reasonable and enough people want it, it will be implemented in the game. I mean, I'm not going to completely dismiss stuff or overlook what anybody else out there is suggesting. I'm completely open-minded because I want this to be, community-driven and fun for everybody.
All right, but at least at the beginning, it's gonna be almost like dare say seamless transition from DC Legends to your game, right? Everything's just
Mhm.
going to feel
It's
familiar and
it
intuitive.
will it will feel very familiar. It will play just like DC Legends, but with a lot of extras added to it.
Right. I'm going to jump ahead because I of course I previewed the images. I see a lot of not a lot, but I've seen some inspiration from Raid Shadow Legends as well, right? I'm going to tell you what I mean when we get to that particular
Okay,
screenshot. All right.
sure.
All right, I'm gonna move on to the next one. All right, so this is basically the character info, right? The one in DC Legends where it's over their heads, right?
Yes. Yeah, the one that you saw in this previous screenshot was not the final version. I was in the middle of transitioning between game engines, and then I was like, okay, just too much to explain right now. It's just I have multiple versions of the same uh, game being run. And this one here actually it splits them up into percentages. So that way each one is 25%. So if you go to ability and it says, well, after 50% life, he can do this ability. That way you can look right at the bar and say like, oh, okay, he's almost at 50, one more hit, or, if I get a little bit more life, he'll do this instead. You'll actually know the percentages. That's what I'm going to go for in the final version that you see here.
Okay.
Um,
Might
so
I
that way you
oh,
go ahead.
go fit? No, finish your thought before I say something.
Oh, I was just saying that way it's just I was going to put actual numbers in it and not use anything there, but I figured the numbers might be too small to read on the characters. So I might beta test it a little bit and give people options where they can choose because that's the coolest thing. I can constantly, since I'm programming it, I'm the one that can add anything I want to it. So I can add different looks, different themes, and you can customize like your own play style. I mean, things like that will be possible, just not right up front because I want to get the core, base out, and then we can come in and I'll have like maybe like a monthly poll where it's like, what would you like to see implemented next? What features, quality of life, and bugs and stuff. they will be squashed very fast. If a bug is reported to me, I will start working on it within 24 hours, guaranteed.
All right. So we do have some questions in chat, but I do have one suggestion before we go to the chat.
Okay.
You said earlier that this is going to be very familiar to DCL players. One thing I
Hmm.
noticed is the turn meter is not the circle, and
Yes.
that might confuse some people,
Yeah.
anticipating that that is the turn meter. Is that
Right. I mean, I could swap it out for the turn meter and I could put the turn meter over there, but I like the idea of the retribution meter going slowly from the bottom all the way around. And I would liked it there better. That's why I did it. And I mean, I don't want to be a blatant copy of another game because this is my,
I
my
know
concept, my ideas.
I understand that, but I'm gonna just give you two examples. So you play heroes and villains, right?
A little, yes.
And you know what drives me nuts is that they got inspiration from DC Legends, and yet they flipped the affinity colors, and
Uh,
it bugs me to heck that
I
that
gotcha.
blue is stronger than red, and it just my brain wants to explode. So if I mean it's you're not copying, but if you can, if you're just consciously trying not to look like it, maybe you don't have to, right?
Right.
Because there's really no reason outside of like uh your first explanation, like you want to build it up slowly, cool. But if your only reason is to not look like DC Legends, then maybe don't do that. Well, that's just me, but of course you have to listen to the community and see what they say, but that's just my opinion.
Right.
um
Well, I felt that the turn meter bar should just be a straight bar and a shield should be a straight bar because those are all energies. Those are all your meters. And to me, the retribution was like the special thing that stood out apart from the basic thing that everybody else does in games.
I
So that's
suppose it,
why I went,
okay.
yeah.
If it, yeah, if it made sense, then it made sense, right? Okay, I mean, it's just that we're so used to it for 7 years. All right, so
Right.
there are two questions in game, in chat. First one is from Windigo, asking if you've played Marvel Avengers Alliance before, because there's a character there that might be a good concept for your Jekyll and Hyde.
Okay. I mean, I can check it out. I have not played it. Um, I've kind of like uh, let me see. How can I say it? I haven't got to play very many games because of work, game development, real life. It's just I don't have a whole lot of time to
Time
sit down and play other games. So I haven't. I just like stuck with one game, and uh,
and it
and it was
died,
DC Legends.
and it
Yeah.
died.
Yeah.
All right, and then there's a question from Captain Freezy. Welcome to the dojo. It seems like it's your first time to chat here. All right, he's asking about the color values for if there's going to be a percentage. I think you kind of covered it earlier, right? Because you don't want to
Yeah.
put in numbers because they might be hard to read.
Right. And I can easily add a gradient to this to like when it gets to 75%, like the life bar, I should have shown that because I actually do have it set up to where after it gets past the first tick of the health bar, then it changes to a yellowish color, the whole bar. Then when it gets to 50%, it's an orangish color, and about 30%, it turns to red.
Okay, that makes sense. And then the best part of this is you actually have a game manual, so new players like don't have to guess what's going on and kind of like do some experimentation to see what what things actually mean. All right. So okay, well, we've seen this, and I'm gonna look at the affinity because you have a concept that's not in DCL. So let's move on to the affinities. All right.
Okay.
All right, so let's see if I can remember this. The leaf is nature, blue is tech, And then this is like the
It's
so
really big.
I know I'm sorry, I can't make it small. Leave it
Is it in your
at
is it in your browser, you
it,
said?
it is in my browser and and
I think
and
you can hold down control and spin your mouse wheel, it'll shrink it.
I know if it were in my Mac, I already know what to do. I'm on my iPad,
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
and
Okay, yeah.
I don't have that option.
Okay. So basically this is the affinity tree. The like you said natural affinity is the leaf, and those are like your physical based characters that rely on all things natural. They don't use, I mean, a stick, a knife, a gun, anything like that. That's something you can pick up and use naturally. So that's still in the natural category. And then you can see the arrows pointing down to the technological one at the bottom, and that one is any characters that use technological items or a technically advanced race. That is what they're classified under. And then, of course, the arrows will go up to the supernatural, and that's where we have, wizards, witches, vampires, anything that is like of a supernatural origin, and that's the moon. That's their affinity symbol. And the one in the middle with the big like swirling tornado, that is the enigma affinity. And the enigma affinity doesn't fit into any of those one specific categories. They might be a mixture of two or even three of those categories. So they're the ones that stand out from the tree, and they're like above the others. So that's why it's in the center like that.
So, but it doesn't have any arrows. So is that saying, oh, it does have
It does.
arrows?
It does. Okay, so see the arrows? Those arrows mean that one, the affinity does 10% more damage to that other affinity.
Oh,
Extra
I
damage.
see. So, oh, okay, so those two arrows, those two triangles are deliberate. It like, okay, so
Yes.
that's
And
10%.
see, the one in the center only has one to each one, so that means they only do 5% extra damage to all the other three affinities because
Right.
it's an enigma.
However, it's not weak to anything.
It's weak to another enigma.
Oh, okay. I
So
see.
it's actually 10% weaker to another enigma. So if they might be a fantastic uh, affinity to have because they're going to be more powerful than all the others because they're going to do 5% more damage to all the other affinities, right?
Right. And
But if
they're
you go up against,
neutral. But then also
yes,
neutral against them, right? So they can't hurt them. Or however, if there's another one like them, they don't like it.
right, yes. So like let's say you go up against a boss, you might have an enigma character that might dominate in PvP because it's going to take out all the other affinities. Not necessarily take them out, but do 5% more damage than normally a normal affinity would. But if you would go up against like a boss in the game that's an enigma, you automatically are at a 10% deficit against that character. So you really have to think your strategy why you want to, take an enigma to another enigma boss battle, or, just like DCL, you want to get the best affinity matchups. That there's four, so you can have four slots. You can actually have one of every affinity to like maximize, your synergy between each other.
I think you think too much. In DC Legends, you just bring Trigon.
Well, the Trigon would actually be neutered in my game badly because there's abilities that will just completely stop him.
I know I'm excited because there's something that stops passive, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. All right. Okay, so this is an interesting concept because yeah, having that fourth affinity, that's kind of like has advantage over everyone else, but also they have a big disadvantage. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah. So, big thing out there, if whoever donates to the character perks, definitely read through and try and match your affinity to the character you want created. So you don't want to come in there with a guy that's a cyborg with all kinds of weapons and say he's a natural character. He's going to blatantly be technological. Or if you're coming in and say, I want my character to be a vampire, you're not going to make him tech or natural. He would be supernatural. Don't just go in and think, oh, I'm just going to choose Enigma because it does 5% more on the others. But you could be neutering that character for alliance battle bosses or raid bosses, things like that. So you have to take into consideration, you know, when you make those choices. So I'm just throwing that out there. So if anybody's interested, we have one omnipotent slot left.
Wow, they went fast, right?
Yes. Within the first 24 hours, all of them went, and there's only one left now. But we still have plenty of the other character available, and I can touch on that a little bit later, like why they will still be good choices.
All right. Okay, so Darren actually asked a very important question. So, do you have a target launch date in mind?
The target lunch date or launch date, I was going to say lunch. I'm a little hungry. All right, the target launch date is the second quarter of next year. So right about in the middle of the year. I want to do a good beta testing to make sure all the bugs are ironed out and all reworks are done. So if you really think about it, about 6, maybe 7 months maximum till it's in a public release. Now there might be an earlier like pre-launch, but I'm just saying the official release date will be, it's tentatively set for about in the middle of the year.
But that doesn't mean that's the first time we're gonna see it, right? Because you're gonna probably have some tests for beta tests for us, right? That's
Oh,
your
absolutely.
right.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is the
Yeah.
official launch where we're gonna be able to download it
Yeah.
from Apple Store and Google Play.
I
But
would say probably within, I would say give me about 3 months, and then you guys will start beta testing your stuff.
ooh, exciting, exciting. All right, all right. Let's now move on to the next one. Oh, this might be a repeat of the other one. All right, that's the PVE, and then this one is all right. See, this is why I. This is what's giving me the what should we call this? The no, it's not like the Raid Shadow
Yep.
Legends vibe, because this is kind of like
All
right. There's like this circular arena.
mm-hmm. It's just I wanted it in arena, and I actually had Alliance Ultra Dimensions arena uh, made up, but I was first calling it the Battle Coliseum, and then DC Legends came out with the Coliseum, and I was like, "Daggone it! Now I got to change the name."
No, you don't have to. There, it by the time this comes out, you know, Coliseum would be
Right. Well, I
forgotten.
mean,
So
like I said, I'm not stealing ideas of previous games. These are all my original ideas. Yeah, I might put characters in a pattern like you see here, so people like this layout. So I might throw it up like that. But the mechanics, the abilities, the skill trees, the power stones, I mean, all of it is completely different than DC Legends, but your play style is going to be very similar. You're going to select your character. You're going to choose your moves to attack the others and select those characters to attack. But you got to be strategic about it, just like you did with the other ones, and be like, okay, well, which ones are synergistic? Which ones will counter the other characters? If they need debuffed, or they need to be blocked. So they can't, put on up any buffs because Trigon existed.
right.
Things like that. I don't want any characters like that in my game, and I will make sure that doesn't happen.
All right. And I know I've
But
asked.
this isn't a copy from Raid Shadow Legends. I
Oh
just
yeah.
I just
I'm
I
just
just
saying
wanted, yeah.
it just reminds me. I'm not saying you lifted from them or got inspired,
Yeah.
but it's
I
just
just wanted, like, first I wanted to make an actual coliseum, and I started with the benches that you see behind them, and I just wanted to make tiers of benches up and just make it like you're going into this coliseum and you have this crowd watching you, and it's like you're fighting like in the ancient times, battling it out.
all right. I have a suggestion, but first I have a question. Are you going
Yes.
to make skins for the game?
Eventually, yes.
Okay. Because imagine if there's like your tournament or Coliseum or whatever you want to call it,
Hmm.
and whoever wins it would get a Marilyn Monroe skin for Biff. Not for Biff, but for AV. Wouldn't that be awesome? And you're the only one that who can wear that skin.
Yeah. Oh, maybe I'll do something crazy like that.
Yeah, some perks, right? Because winning in DC Legends means, like you get a little bit of
Oh,
shards or
there will definitely be
like
perks to different modes in the game. I mean, there's like some characters you can only get through alliance battles, or there's some characters you can only get through raids. I mean, they will not be offered in the store for sale or anything like that. So you
right,
have to come up with
right,
ideas like that.
right. So some certain alliances won't play just the first 2 days of raid, right? So if you want something, you really have to work for it, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, there's yeah, this game has no. Well, I guess this has room for some lazy bumps too, right? There's always a space for everyone, but yes, you're going to make playing this worthwhile, not just bragging rights. You actually get
Right.
something worthwhile.
Exactly. That is my goal.
All right, all right. So okay, this is where I am. Or maybe this is not there yet. This is how you bring up your skills, right?
Mhm. No, this is something completely new and different.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Okay, if you look over here on the left side, it says mergeable inventory. You have serum vials and serum bottles, right? Okay, and if you look over on the left, it's only actually showing the ones that use the bottles, but there are other
Other
items that
types. Okay.
yes. Okay, and as you can see, there's a number 2 on the top screen and number 3 on the bottom screen. Those are the levels. So like it's going to cost you 350 quasi gems to uh, make this item using your alchemy that you've collected throughout the game by beating stages and completing different tasks. You will acquire these items, and you can come in here and you can get the steel skin elixir, which is going to the second level one, which is a 2 stars, you can see, and then it goes 1, 2, 3, and 4 stars. That's going to give you damage immunity, 1 turn unpurgeable. So what that is, think of it like almost as an extra free ability in the game. So you can only use one
Oh,
of
but this is
these.
consumable.
Yes. So see how it says damage immunity, 1 turn unpurgeable on the buff above the 350?
Yep, I see it.
Okay, that is a buff that you will put on yourself by using this steel skin elixir. So not only will you have your 3 abilities or 4 abilities, depending on what character you're playing with, you will have you'll be able to bring in an item to the
Item.
game.
But if you use this up, it's like it's gone. You've used it. That's it.
Yes, yes, yes. So it's just an extra mechanic that you can get to where you can, go and get all these different types of, death immunity, debuff immunity, poison immunity, health up, and it can go like a 5% health up, 10%, 15, or 20% health up, for like 2 turns on a character just by getting the 4 star elixir. So this is just adding another mechanic to the game. Where like I said, you can choose the item. You hit item, it'll pull up your inventory in the game, and you can choose what item you want to use, and then that ability gets placed on your character.
Gotcha. All right. So outside of the abilities, now you have items. All right.
Yeah, because so think about it like this: if you're coming in with one of those beta characters, and they might not have a heal, or they might have a good support to where they can constantly uh, put shields up on your team, and they're really great. So you might want to come in here and get like the Immortalis elixir, so you can put death immunity on that character, so he stays alive and be able to keep healing your team round after round. So that's where these come into play to make up for a little bit of inadequacies of the character types that you choose for the game.
Gotcha. Is are the omnipotents gonna have items too?
I'm sorry, what was that?
The omnipotent ones, or do they have the ability to use items too?
Oh, everybody does.
Oh,
It's
okay.
it's not it's just another ability added to your arsenal. Because I'm trying to add in some more game mechanics to make it different, a little bit more fun. I wanted to get a little bit back to like some of the old school RPGs that I grew up with, where you could like choose items. You could choose magic, in attack or whatever. So I thought, well, I could just make an item ability, and later on we can also have another thing other than alchemy, like machinist, where you could go in and create uh, like a blast shield or dynamite that you could throw at the enemy or things like that. So maybe that could be a future mechanic that I throw in to add even more stuff to the game. I want to keep it live, not a stagnant same type of game forever. So I want to do, a release to where it's like, oh, now we have this new upgrade and you can do this as well in the game. And of course, it's going to be beta tested before it's released to make sure it's well received, because sometimes you might have a good idea in your head, but you implement it and people hate it.
Right.
So that's why I'm going to make sure and take feedback and do what's good, because I don't want it to come out and then I'm bombarded with emails and comments and be like, you suck, you know, because that's not the point. It's to have fun and have this continuing adventure that is last as long as I can humanly possibly do it, and that's my goal. I mean, I don't want this ever to end.
Gotcha. All right. Okay, so I do have one. I don't know if this is a question or a request. You know me, I'm a PvP person, right? I
Hmm.
love the challenge, the puzzles. And one thing I really like is making tough defensive teams. And one of the things that I would have loved DC Legends to have done, but I guess it's moot now. But then here you are, there's an opportunity to pitch what I really wanted in a game like this. Uh, it's either I can tell my tune on defense, like I can set some parameters on how I want my team to behave, because you know how
It's
DCL
all
is super
I can
simplistic.
stop you right there. It's already being implemented. You will be able to actually set the parameters of your character, what you want it to do the first round, second round, third round, and then after that it will loop between the abilities you want them to do.
Ha! Look at that. All right. Because the other thing is because if the other thing is that that is the simpler one. The other way is that it's kind of like learning how I play, and then it's
Mhm.
gonna mimic how, but that's gonna be too much server space. So yeah, maybe down the road.
It would be, yeah.
Yeah, because
I
that's
mean, I
like
could put AI learning in it, but
I
it takes up a tremendous amount of space.
not just that. It's probably gonna cost you some compute time.
Yeah.
So maybe down the road,
But
once you made your
but
millions, that should be
but
fun.
but but this way, you can go in and you can set it up
Yes, you can
like
customize the way your
it,
tune behaves. The dickier, the
yes.
better, right? Okay. So
Yeah.
yeah, like Wendigo is pointing out.
And the thing is, you can set that up for defensive. So like whenever they're going out and fighting against other people, you can have your team preset and it will follow that same path defensively.
Right, they're going to do this, right? As opposed to blindly just going through my skills from three, two, and one, depending on what's
Yes.
available.
Exactly. But you have to go in and do that, set that up as your team. It's not just going to automatically do it. If you don't have them set up,
Right,
then
you're
it's
gonna have your
going to be
default, right? Yeah,
random.
you're gonna have your default, right? Okay.
Right. And that won't be completely implemented very first thing, but
Oh
I
yeah,
do
that is
have
that
the
is
yeah,
that is acceptable. I mean, as long as we know that that's coming, that's awesome.
it is. It is.
Awesome.
See, you have me on record saying it, so it will be.
Yes. Okay. Awesome. All right. And then the other thing is that just this mechanic alone is telling me that if I see a secchu on the other side, it doesn't mean that it's the same as my secchu, right?
Correct.
So now I love and hate that at the same time.
Well,
Because
let me ask you this question. Let's be realistic here. If you go off into battle in, in a real world situation, do you know what every single one of your enemies are capable of? You might know a base idea like, oh, well, these troops are from this region and they train in this fighting style. They use these weapons, but each one has a little bit something unique about them that you don't know about. So that's why I'm doing it that way.
And I understand, but also think of it this way: if it's a famous fighter, I know what he can do. I can study him because I know exactly what he does. But then again, here kind of like maybe it's a dimensional thing, right? So this sect Jew from my dimension is different from that other sect Jew, right? From his.
You nailed it. That's the whole point, because you can actually have more than one sect you on the same team as well, because it's altered dimension. One can be from another dimension. It depends on how you want to build your team.
Yeah, the one scares me is multiple duties. I mean, one is plenty, right? Now he's not here anymore. I can't make fun of him.
Ah,
He left.
oh darn.
All right. Okay, so that's cool. All right. So there's a good lore behind it. I can get behind it. It's just, I'm not say it's a chore because it's a game. It's supposed to be fun. But you have to like look at the enemy and like, look at them at what they have. You can just go blindly into battle and expect to win.
Right. Well, I mean, they're going to have their base abilities and base passives, and you will 100% know what they're capable of. But it's their skill sets that will set them apart from each other.
Right. And also the way that your AI set up that. Okay. Gears are churning in my head. Okay. We're probably gonna have lots of conversations in the future.
Oh yeah.
All right. Okay. Cool. So this is the item part of it. All right. So okay. So now I moved on to the next screenshot, and if you want to talk about this, talk through this.
Oh, okay. This is just stating how the skill set information. This is the skill set information. So it's just showing you that each tier level, where they're unlocked. So like, your beta is at level 20, alpha 40, 60 for omega, 80 for omnipotent, and then mythical unlocks when you reach the end.
Oh, okay.
You've made it to level 100, you've maxed your character out. Now you can pick the mythical skill that is going to like bump your character up so much higher that a level 99 would be scared. I mean, because just that one ability can like tip them over the edge.
Gotcha. All right.
And of course, you have right now there are 36 skills in the game, and you can choose. I'm showing you can choose how many from each one. Each one has 6 different skills, so you can only have 4 out of the 6 for the first one, 3 for the next, 3, 2, 2, and 1 mythical skill to choose out of the 6 at the end. So this is where you can really learn to find out what is the best setup for your character. Like if you're taking a character like Biff's character, he's an evader base. He's automatically going to start off the game with a 5% chance to always evade.
Wait. That makes zero sense to me. Aren't you supposed to be impaired if you're, buzzed? How can
If you're
you
what?
buzzed? Like he's always, almost always.
Oh,
I don't see how you can. I mean, walking straight is already a challenge, and you're expecting him to like, dodge things thrown at
you
him.
you got to read his lore. He's immune to it. He's immune to chemical substances and stuff, so he has actually poison immunity by default because the chemical substances don't affect him. They actually empower him.
Or so
So
they
it's
say.
Yeah, so you got to know. I mean, every character will have their own lore. You'll click on it, and it'll tell the whole story about it. So that way you understand who these characters are, what their abilities are, where they come from, their backstories. I'm trying to go as in depth as possible, and I just want to have fun with it and make it cool. And of course, down at the bottom, every single thing I do in this game, I want to make it clear so there are no guesses. Like the way things are worded, and like, well, does it really mean this? But it could also mean that. I want to try and make sure. So that's why you will see a lot of different screens in here and try to explain things in normal, plain English for everybody. this is how the ability works and all the skills work.
Gotcha. All right.
Because well, anyway, what I was back with Biff, what I was saying was, since he's an evasion type character, he's going to have a 5% default evasion stat. All right, you can build more evasions by using skills. Like one skill might give you 5 additional percent, or a mythical skill might give you 15%. Okay, so you want to make sure you choose the right skill for the right type of character. If you're a shield-based character, you want to pick abilities that can give you more shield. It might say like if you have a shield up, add 10% extra additional shield each time you cast it. So, like I said, this is where it's really just buffing up your character more
My
based upon the right set.
my brain goes exactly the opposite of what you're saying, because if you're a shield character, I'm gonna wanna do it, make it evade. Because if you don't read the stats, you're gonna be surprised that you can't hit that shield-based character.
Well, you got to.
I can do that. I can do that, right? Based on what you're telling me, right? I can skill them
Well,
up. However,
you only get so much percentage. You'll get like maybe a 15% chance if you have no evasion stats at all.
oh, if you have
to put it.
okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
So,
Okay,
and you got also would have to pair up with people that can apply evasion, up on your character.
gotcha.
So
Okay,
it's strategy. You just can't go in there and be like, oh, I'm going to make this character a complete shield character. I'm going to make him completely a speed character. I'm going to make. Yeah, you can. You can add those attributes, but you can't fully make them that way. You can't make them a black flash.
gotcha.
Because you have to have the skill sets. These are to build upon your skill set. But yet, let's just say you have 2 M4s in the game. Well, one M4, I might want to make him more tanky, so I want to give him abilities that has a percentage to get death immunity when his percentage is low in health, or damage immunity, or maybe the ability to get parry attacks, which is my version of awareness.
No,
Uh,
gotcha.
so, and then like your other character, you might go the opposite way. Well, I want to max out his crit damage and his critical up ability. So that way I'm always hitting with a crit to get that extra percent damage. So you might go that way with it. So it's all dependent on how you want to make your character.
I do have a question. Okay, follow up on
Yeah.
that. All right, so I know there's gonna be multiple versions of Sectio, right? But can I have 2 different versions of Sectio? Can I build a team of 4 Sectios?
Yes.
Okay, so I can build a lot of Sectios. Okay, the different kinds of Sectios for different situations. Okay,
Exactly. So if you really love a character, you can build one that will cover each part of the spectrum. Defense,
okay.
speed, strength.
I
So that's what I'm saying. This is why I like this concept, because it's in your hand it's kind of like developing your own character at will.
right,
And
but
if you don't like your abilities, you can just go in and hit the reset skill, and you have to get more skill tokens. That's what those ones are on the left
perfect.
with the little wrench and hammer. But you're able to reset them with a click of a button. There's a
Awesome.
little bit of a fee to
Which makes sense,
reset them.
yes. Perfect.
Yeah,
I
with
was just
gems,
about to ask
Yeah.
that question and you already answered it before I asked. Okay. Perfect. All right. So that settles that. I'm gonna have 4 Biffs, right? And none of them is
Maybe.
gonna evade.
Yeah. And see, and then here's another thing I wanted to point out real quick. So, like, for example, uh, let's just say there's an omnipotent character that is released. Um, you're not going to be able to go to the store and buy
buy.
4 omnipotent characters. There will most likely be a cap of 2, because I don't want everybody. Mythical characters, or not mythical, omnipotent characters, they're going to be the very special characters in the game, like maybe 6 to 8 released a year, and that's it. Because I want them to be the rare, untouchable type of character. The Omega character is really the kind of like the top tier character in the game, and that's like the one that is going to be more accessible and everybody can get, and they're very powerful. But if you want to get 4 of an omnipotent character, you can get 2 in the store. And then there will be like a PvE mission, like a whole entire just like how you do the free character of the month
Right.
on DCL.
And then you have to
You
earn
can,
them. Okay.
yeah, you can earn one that way. Or there might be a PvP challenge where you can earn your fourth one that way. But I'm not going to let people just come right in and buy them. They have to earn them and go through the game. So it's not going to be, I hate to say it, it's not going to be a complete well fest. So you just can't come in and buy everything and be number one instantly. I want to try to level the field just a little bit. But you'll still be able to. I mean, if you have two omnipotent characters nobody else does, it's going to be pretty powerful.
Okay. I think if I have a character, maybe I want my first skill to be can't miss.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. I just
No, I mean it's highly possible. It just wherever you have one ability, you have to balance it out somewhere else in the kit, so they're not completely OP.
I'm just trying to get a reaction from Biff. I know he hates can't miss.
So every character in the game is going to have a can't miss ability. Well, you do have. The cool thing is in your skill sets, uh, you have an ability called focus. All right, and focus increases your chances of hitting an evader, and your resistance is like another ability that when you add to your skill set that helps you resist a buff being applied to you. So there's ways to defend against those and actually hit characters that you normally wouldn't be able to hit.
Okay.
Because if you get your focus up super high, that helps.
Gotcha. So agility is actually your evasion here, right? No.
The agility adds to okay, so like if you come in and your agility is a certain percentage, your agility will add to your evasion ability. It increases just like how wisdom gives int up for special characters, gives them stronger hits. Strength for the regular characters gave them stronger hits. That's the same thing with agility. We'll give them better evasions.
Yes.
And the same, and that it'll be all explained in great detail.
Okay.
Like how it works. So I think it's a pretty good system.
Yes.
And I mean, of course, it can be adjusted if it's not working out right. That's the cool thing, because I want everybody to have a fun experience.
Yes. And Wendy kind of like already kind of wrote what I was going to say, because what we don't want to say is that there's just a mechanic that's completely trashes another mechanic, right? And
right.
And it's just dumb, right?
Well, see, that's the thing. There will be like 100% chance to hit someone,
right? But it's not can't miss, right? Because even if it's 100%, there's some modifiers that can affect it. Can't miss just simply can't miss, and there's no defense against it. If you're an evader and there's a can't miss, there's nothing you can do about it.
Right. I've taken a lot of stuff in consideration, and the only thing, there will be some can't misses, but the can't misses are for applying a buff or a debuff. It'll be like that. Like, even though if you're an evader, there might be a can't miss on applying
a specific
abilities.
Okay.
Yeah. So like if Secju comes out there and he uses his big breath on the whole entire field, how could you realistically dodge that?
That makes sense, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Those kind of things. Like if it's a gas, like yes.
Yeah, those are the ones that will have the can't miss, but there's not going to be a blatant, I'm going to come in and punch you and I can't miss hitting you. There won't be that.
Okay, perfect. All right. So before we move on to the next screenshot, I do have an important question, because I'm looking at this, and even if you're omnipotent, you're not going to get your full set of skills until you get into like your max level, right? So basically, when you start out, you're kind of like a 2-star character, right? Because you won't have your skills right. So what I think is going to make or break a game, I've seen this happen, is the progression. If you don't scale it right, then there's no carrot for the players to get. But at the same time, if it's too slow progression. Hello, heroes and villains. It's also
Yeah.
going to be super frustrating. So,
Yeah.
uh,
And see, that's where the beta testing, I want to try and get at least 3 months in a beta testing, so we'll know what that sweet spot is for leveling up the characters.
perfect. Okay, perfect. Okay, and then I hope you're going to reset everyone, because you know what's annoying. You see, you just released the game and you've seen people already in the beta who have like all of the maxed out characters, like have super
Well,
person.
the
Then you
the the beta the beta testers will be on a separate server.
perfect. Okay, so, and then when you release it, it's gonna be like its own, like everyone's on
Yeah,
the.
because you won't be able to buy anything on the test server.
Okay, so the only one that's gonna have like a little bit of an advantage is those people that support you in Indiegogo, right? Because they have their
Yes.
chance for a customized character and stuff and
And
all.
their character will be linked to their account. So when you go to the beta testing, it's just open for you to try out everybody. But in the real game, that's where your character is actually implemented that you supported and you got as a perk.
Oh, okay. Ooh.
So you'll be able to go into it when you go to beta test. If you were one of the people that helped support and you go into beta testing, everything's open to you. You can go in there and choose any character you want. I will have them all at
Unlocked.
0 level, and you have unlimited money, unlimited gems to try out. Where's this character at? If you want to do content creation or something, you can be like, well, I found out, like, for new people, that he's really good at level 40 with these abilities, because you'll have that chance to do that, and there'll be like a button where you can actually go in and say reset back to 0 or something like that, which will be on that test build. So that way it's for the content creators, for the beta testers, and to make sure we can find bugs, because maybe a bug might exist in a lower level, but it doesn't exist when they power up. So I've got to cover all the bases.
All right. Is there a place here for G10.5ers?
Well, there is no gear.
Uh, so there's, and you're gonna tell, all right, so there's no gear, but there's no benefit for gimping your characters, right?
None. There's none. Actually, not powering them up is gimping your character.
All right.
Everybody gets the same level playing field. There will be. Didn't want to say there will be some gears, but they're going to be like mythical gears later on that you can win specifically, and it's only like there'll be like 3 different gears for your character, and it, like, for example, maybe you would go and defeat Zeus or something, and you could get the lightning bolt of Zeus. If you apply that to your character, then he does 25% more attack damage, or now he has the ability to stun. I'm just making stuff up. This isn't in the game. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
giving you an example.
Okay.
And those will be like the 3 mythical gears that you can apply to your characters, but that's not until a way later future upgrade. I actually have the next 3 years planned out for the game right now.
Wow. Wow, that's quite a roadmap. All right. So I have a question for you, and I actually set this up by asking you earlier in the stream, about transparency. So whatever answer you give, I think it's fine. But the question is, are you going to play your own game, like along with us on the same server?
I plan on playing, yes.
Okay.
Okay. But you will be able to see my characters and stuff, and you will see that I am not going to have every single character maxed out in the game. I'm going to play it just like everybody else does.
Gotcha.
It'll be a complete legit account that I will play from the beginning as a free-to-play player, trying to go through it to see how far I can go. Because I can play it on my own on, a test server and do whatever I really want. So I'll be a free-to-play player. So you won't see me having omnipotent characters because I won't be purchasing them. I'll have to earn them. So you
God.
can, that way you can see that I won't be cheating at my own game.
Oh,
But I want to play with the community, and that's the only way I think it can be fair, is for me to come in completely free and not spend money on my own game, but I have to put in the time to win them.
Okay, right. And that's also where the transparency comes in, right? So characters in development, the roadmap, you're going to share them, right? So you're not going to
Absolutely.
build this character because you know down the road something is coming to counter X, Y, and Z, right?
No, it's nothing is going to be set up like that. I mean, it's not going to be like uh, when we had the issue where, what was it? Like Red Hood was brought out as a specific counter, or, I don't want to have that. If something happens like that, then there needs to be a reevaluation of that design of the character, and that's why I want to have the beta testing before a character is put out.
Oh, okay. And then of course you're open to like micro balancing and things like that, right?
100%. Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not going to be like you have to wait for a character to be fixed. If I know of an issue or if it's reported to me, I'm probably going to just jump instantly right in and fix it.
Straight in
As quick as I,
production.
yeah, as quickly as I can. So, I'll do the best to my ability. I mean, that's all I can promise.
Good enough for me. All right, so now let's look at the skill selection. Now I remember why I say it's giving me the Raid Shadow Legends vibe. This might be the screen that I saw.
Uh,
Anyway, can you talk through this? All right. This,
yes. It's not really like Raid Shadow Legends. It's not a skill tree. It's just skill sets that you can choose from. And like I touched on earlier, the abilities you have. So like for example, I can tell you what they are real quick just by going through the top. Starting with the very first one with the knife in the center of the target. That is called Precision Strike. If you select that, it's going to give you 5% extra attack.
it's probably
The
Biff's
next
favorite skill, right?
the next one is Rising Opposition, and that's going to give you 5% resistance. That's 5% extra resistance for a buff trying to be applied to you. So if you have a 55% chance to apply that buff and you chose that skill, they only have a 50% chance now.
I see. Okay. So these
Okay.
are skills, but actually improve your stats.
Exactly. That's what it is. This is just another way to improve stats. But there's some other ones, like if you see the guy down there flexing his muscle, something's hitting his shoulder and bouncing off. The a second row, second one.
Yep, I see it.
Okay, that is called debuff empowerment, and that is you get minus 10% attack damage received if any debuffs are on your character. So that might be what you want to choose because you're instantly going to get 10% less damage by choosing that skill. For another one, if you go over three more and you see that little bottle with leaves on it and like water
Mm-hmm.
spouting out from it, that is detoxification. That gives you a 30% chance to purge one debuff at the beginning of your turn, and permanent debuffs can only be purged with that skill. Nothing else can purge a permanent debuff. That's the only thing.
Okay, so Biff doesn't need this because he never gets intoxicated, right?
Yeah, right. So I
Okay.
mean, and then but then there's like some other cool moves. Like if you look on the alpha section, um, the second one that gives you the ability to reflect damage back, quick deflection, where the hand's there and you see it bouncing off. That will deflect like 15% attack damage from a single attack, not an AOE, just a single attack back to the opponent that did the attack. You also have moves like healing aura, which can give you 5% additional healing each time you're healed. So there's like lots of abilities in here that basically empower your character.
How many
If
can a character choose from this set? Like, is it
okay, well
one
the
for?
oh no, okay, so the novice. In novice, you can choose four of them. You can choose three of the beta, the green ones, three of the alpha, the red ones, two of the omega ones, which are
And
the blue ones,
and a
two omnipotent, and one mythical.
mythical? Gotcha. Okay.
So it goes 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, 1.
All right, so this is where your customization go. They're gonna make your character slightly different, but still not so different from everyone else's. Just a little better
Right.
at certain things, right?
Okay. And
Okay.
so here's like a mechanic for you. Okay, so like on the omnipotent tier right there, the very first one is called Titan Takedown. That will give you a 25% uh, attack damage boost against bosses only. So you might, if you have a alliance boss or raid boss that you're going at, and you make your character like a pure damage dealer, you might want to choose that ability for that specific character just for alliance bosses or raid bosses. But you might get a second one and choose a completely different skill out of there to build him different. So that way you can say, oh, well, this is my alliance boss team. This is my PvE team. This is my PvP team. So that way you have the ability to use the characters you love in different ways. And
Got
another one down there in the bottom right hand corner with a guy with all the fists and the sword and it has his arms sprawled out. Um, that one is Enraged Melee. And that would be like a perfect ability for PvE. It's an omnipotent ability and you have to use that as your final ability, but it gives you a 20% extra attack damage added to your basic attack, and it's permanent every time you use your basic attack up to a maximum of 160%. So you can, every time you attack, 20% extra, 20% extra, 20% extra, up to 160. So if you're trying to go through PvP stages, that's a quick way. Think of it kind of like how Black Flash or Black Adam took out
ramps.
characters so
They
quickly.
ramp up. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So that would be an ability for some character you want to be, to take care of PvE. And of course, it's all based upon how you want to build your character. Because you might want to that the third one there with the bullseye, that's called steady aim. And that gives you 25% uh, extra focus and 15% hit chance. So if you know you're going up against a team of evaders and you want to make an anti-evasion team, you would do that because it's going to give you 15% chance extra to hit those characters. So that's where I said you have this nice way of customizing your character. You're not just set with a template. This is all you get and it can never change.
Right. Okay. So they cannot do, their characters still cannot do things that they're not supposed to do, but the customization is like they're gonna be better at doing certain things based on what you choose here. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And they can empower other things. Like for one more example, like the alpha ability, believe it is 1, 2, 3, 4, the fifth one over where it has a sword going into a heart. The yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
red ones,
Yep.
the sword going into the heart, the next to last one. That is called internal damage, and it has the ability of when attacking someone that has a wound, which is my version of debuff. It has a chance to add an extra minus 5% damage and increase the turn count of that wound by 1. So that's good if you have a wound-based character. But if you don't have a wound-based character, it's not going to do you any good.
It's gonna
So
be
that's why I'm saying you
basically
have to
useless.
think
Yeah.
it out. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But if you have someone on your team that can slash with a sword and put a wound on someone and they're bleeding out, you put this on your character because you want to team them up. Maybe you have a low level character like a beta character that you're bringing in or an alpha character. You can give them this skill if you want to team them up with someone
Right.
for some synergy and add that extra damage every time. Oh, I'm going to increase that wound another round plus add 5% more to it damage. So there's a lot more synergy and a lot more strategy to this.
Okay. You put a lot of thought into this because this is going to make this game real deep.
I'm trying. I told you it was my dream game. I've been working off and on ideas, concepts, for a few years now. I mean, I've had to go in there and every single thing you see, I've done myself. I've hand drawn everything. I've modeled everything, sculpted, retextured, retopologized, came up with the move sets, the programming. So, if it's going to be your dream project, you got to do it right, or don't do it at all.
Gotcha. And then also, I think since you have like your dimensions, you don't have to be bound by a specific art style, because when you get busy, you may even outsource some of the artwork to others, right? And then certain dimensions may have a completely different look than others, right?
Right. That's a great possibility. I want to try my best to keep it in house the best I can. But if I would have, if it starts getting bigger and there's more demand for more things added, and I'm not able to keep up with it, uh, that that's definitely in the cards.
Gotcha. Of course, yeah. It's when you start out, yeah, you do everything yourself first, and then who knows, this might blow up, right? And then
Yeah.
you may have to get helps. All right, cool. All right, let's move on to the next one. All right, so this is an actual skill. It looks like. Is that what you call your abilities, skills, or abilities? What do you call them?
They're skills. It's
Okay.
a skill set, and that's like the one I was giving an example of. Your enraged melee. See, it goes 20% extra attack damage added to the basic attack, and it's permanent. Each time this defender uses their
I
basic
see.
attack with a maximum of 160, and it's a mythical, and it will cost you 600 skill tokens for that.
Gotcha. Oh, I assume if you click on the previous screen, you're gonna get into this, and you're gonna see the details and what they are.
Exactly, for everyone, yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
This is just one pop-up. Every time you click on any of those items,
You're
this
gonna see
menu
a
will pop up.
yeah. You're gonna get an explanation of what that is. All right. Awesome. Okay. Cool. All right. And now, okay, what is a power stone?
Okay, think of a power stone kind of like how we have the different levels in DC Legends. You get all those different stars, things like that. But these actually serve a purpose. Since I don't have rank 1, rank 2, rank 3 like that, this is just how they're being upgraded instead of like the ranking structure. You have your normal level that you go through, your character level, but your alpha stone, for example, it gives you 1% stat boost on those 5 abilities. So
Oh, I
just one of
see.
those, okay? And you can have a maximum of 5 of those. Then when you reach the next level and become an omega level, then you can start getting your omega stones, which will give 2% more, a maximum of 10% stat boost on those 5 items. So now you've got up to 15 if you have those all maxed out. Then you go to the next one, which is Alpha Omega, uh, which is your Omnipotent, and that's a 3%, stat boost on it. And I don't know if I sent you the whole picture. Is there another part to this?
Let me
Okay,
see if
all right.
there's the next
Well,
one.
right there, there's an example. See, when you get to level 40 of your character, you're able to take those 5 stones and merge them into that stone, which is an ominous omnipotent uh, alpha stone. And that just means now you only have to have that one stone, and it has the ability of all those 5 in your arsenal. So you don't have 5, 5, 5. It's just one stone, and there's no cost for that. It's just that means you've made it to level 40. You've already collected your 5 stones. Now those 5 stones will merge into this one stone and be in it's like a crown over top your character, where you have an ominous alpha stone, an ominous omega, and an ominous omnipotent stone. And when you get those 3, that means you're the top dog. You can't get any higher.
Gotcha. But it's going to be the same for everyone, right? There's no
Yes, these
customization
will.
here. Okay.
Yes, no, these are, well, I mean,
Non-customizable. We're all gonna have the
right.
same base stats. Okay.
You have to win these stones, or acquire them in the game somehow to be able to get to those levels. So, like the last one, is there one more picture of this one that I sent you? Maybe if I didn't.
Maybe not. I don't think you
Okay.
did.
Okay. So, for example, the last one, um, when you get everything, it would be a myth. You get a mythical bonus. So if you have an ominous stone of all three of them, Alpha, Omega, and Omnipotent, then you get an extra 20% at level 100 of your character, maxing them. So you have a final stat boost total of a plus 50% to your character. So that's a huge one. It's like, it's RB5 in your character, basically.
Right, right. I was just gonna point it out.
Yeah.
But your character and my character is gonna be the same, right? At level 40.
If you chose no skills and
Yeah,
you
yeah,
just
yeah.
went from
Right.
all the way up and just did these stones, they would be exactly
Be the
identical.
same.
It's the skills is the only thing that sets them apart.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay, cool. All right, that part is clear. This is basically kind of like the equivalent with the gears, but just a different level of progression, right?
Yes.
All right. Excellent. Okay. I think this one's pretty straightforward. All right. So now this seems like an example of a actual skill or an ability. You said
Yeah.
this is a skill, right?
Yeah, this is Vengeance of Apep. This is like my character's first ability. And so at the top, it's telling you it's a single target 3-hit attack. Hits matter in the game. Each hit does a specific amount of damage and can be boosted or reduced depending on your buffs or debuffs. Some bosses might require so many hits before they drop a shield or something like that, or you take out an enemy in front of them. So there's going to be some strategic value to that as well. So that's why I will have, if it's single target, AoE target, how many attacks they do, things like that. And then it just goes through and it's telling you what the base ability is. So you're going to start off with a 50% chance to apply 1 poison with 3 that does minus 3% health, minus 2% focus, and minus 2% evasion. It's a poison. It should do more than just take health away. It should affect your attributes as well. So that's why those are added. And these are just abilities. And here's what I was saying, like you can see level 2 is at plus 20% chance to apply it because you only have a certain percentage to apply that, and each ability gives you greater, and eventually you might have characters that has a complete 100% chance to apply, or a can't miss apply for a buff or debuff, and that's where I was telling you the can't miss part would come in. And here's another thing that's a little bit different. This is not going to be buff, debuff heavy game. You're not going to put 100 debuffs on a character and then have another character that can only take 10 buffs away from someone. I always thought that was kind of ridiculous, and it kind of like neutered a lot of characters in DC Legends. So I kind of want to keep the buffs and debuffs to a minimum, to where like if you have a character and it says removes 1 buff from a character, that literally means something, because it's more of a percentage of those buffs and debuffs that matter. So like if I go to apply something to you, it's not I apply 1 poison, it does 3%, and then I level it up. Now I can do 2 poisons that do 6, 3 and 3.
No,
Now I can do 3 poisons that do 3, 3 and 3. It's going to be,
no,
I do 1
still
that
1
does
poison,
9.
but it's just more potent.
Exactly. And that's how I want to do it. So we don't have screenfuls of debuffs, disease, 50 diseases on a character. It's 1, and you have the ability, all I have to do is purge that 1, and I won't bleed out or disease out or something like that. I'm trying to make it the most well balanced as I can, and it's the system I came up with, and I've been running the scenarios through basically text based, so I can see the data being spit back out to me, and this seems like the most effective way to keep it really
Oh my god.
more level and even.
You just mentioned something that I completely forgot, but so if you're capturing what's happening in the back end from text, are you gonna save that data? So when, let's say we have like you don't have to implement this right away, but so let's
For
say,
hackers,
well, that's one. I mean, I'm sure you can prevent that, and you don't have to see the log.
replay feature.
Yes, you nailed it. So
I thought about it, and implementing a replay feature is actually a lot more simplistic than you would think, because what you have to do is when I go to attack, inside of, you just have to create an array and say, this character chose this
Yeah,
ability,
exactly.
hit this, did this much damage. And then
Yep.
you just go back and you just start those characters and you say, attack this one, apply, do this move, put
Mm-hmm.
this much damage automatically. Yes, that is possible. It's not going to be right away. And I've got to see how much servers are going to cost me, because that has to be saved to the
Right,
server.
because you need to know how much data it's text, but still they add up. I get
Right.
that. But that would be something cool to have, right? Because you've haven't you wondered like how the heck this guy beat me?
Yes.
What the heck
Yeah.
happened? And
I
also,
thought
if there are
about that a
bugs,
lot.
if you
Yeah.
also have bugs, it'll help you replicate it.
Hmm. Oh, I agree. I've really thought this out and the best way to do it. And the only thing is, there would have to be some type of cap on it to where like it only keeps your last 5 or 10
Last 5, yeah, yeah,
battles.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it's gonna
And
fill
like,
out
so
your
like,
server.
for in other words, like if you had your defense log, inside your defense log, if
Yeah,
there's
that's all
10
you need.
battles
Yeah,
in
that's
there.
all. That's
Yeah.
all you need, right? Yeah.
Right. It would keep those in there, something like that. I plan to implement it. And like I said, these can be quality of life improvements as we go out and everybody likes it, dislikes it, thinks what needs changed. I can go about adding these things to make it better.
And yes, and that also nah, that's way too much for the AI. Because if you can keep all of it, and then the AI would learn how to play, like oh, this move's win. But that's further down the line. But wouldn't that be cool, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I tell you what, if it becomes pretty big, and I get to expand like that, and I'm able to set up big in-house servers and have a team of things to help run this, stuff like that's completely possible. But no matter how big or how small this is, I'm not going to change who I am. So I'm going to reach out to you guys. I want to have this fun with you guys on this journey. That, I mean, or I wouldn't be doing it. I would just be putting out a game and selling it for straight outright prices, or jacking things up if it was for money. It's not, it's for the community.
Well, you have to balance the two. You need to make it fun,
Right,
but also make it worth your while. So
right, right. And I just got to just make sure I'm able to cover the cost. That's really what I'm in, pay my bills.
yes,
That's what I care about.
yes. Don't do it all for the community. Do it. Save some for yourself too.
Yeah.
All right. This is what. Okay. When I looked at this, I was like, okay, this is cool. I wonder what you have planned for this, because
Okay.
it's kind of like you married DC Legends with heroes and villains just to make Witty happy.
I have screenshot. This game's done. This was actually made 6 months before Heroes and
Said
Villains
villains
ever
came
even
out.
came
Yeah,
out. Yeah.
I believe
I
you, because
it
you can't just like get ideas and then like, oh, this is new and I'll add it.
Right. Okay. There's going to be multiple of these. This is what's kind of cool about the game. Okay. Let's just say you did a big raid grinding session. There won't be any raids like DC Legends where you have to spend your whole entire weekend. You don't have to worry about stuff like that. I have different implementations of raids that is going to be more time friendly and more valuable for you to do than sit there and tap your phone on auto all day long. But anyway, let's just say you did your battles and you're like, man, I just don't feel like doing PvP today, but these characters need, or PvE, these characters need level up. I need more abilities. So you can get these things called play tokens. And that's what's up in the left-hand corner where it says 75 and has that little token. Think of those as like, I don't know if you guys ever went to an arcade that has a bunch of arcade machines, and you would go get tokens out of the
Mm-hmm.
machine and you could use those tokens to play all those video games.
Yep.
My game is going to have a bunch of mini video games that you can play as a stress reliever, time killer, but gives you things you need
Oh,
in the
this is
game. So you
awesome.
can,
I don't
yeah.
need Bejeweled anymore if I'm like do want to do something
My,
mindless. I can
my
just
wife plays this every night. Every night she loves this game. But as you can see on the left-hand side, you have all your affinity power gems, and you have your quasi gems. That bottom one, the multicolor, is your main game in-game currency. That's what you're going to use to buy everything in the store shop with. One currency buys everything. The other ones are your affinities. You can see the leaf, moon, the gear, and the swirl on all of those. Those are the gems that you need to power up your characters. So when you go to level them up, you use those gems to level up each affinity. So you can go in here and you can just start getting them. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't feel like playing PvE or
Yep,
PvP or
I
anything.
can.
I just want to play a quick game.
Yep, I can farm them here.
Exactly. And I'm going to release a new mini game probably every few months, whenever I get the extra time. So it's going to have a mini arcade, like a relax, section, like an R&R section, where you can go and just play some video games all day and farm stuff, by doing that. So you're not just bound to one genre. It's like I said, it's all my games in one. So you get to play different things.
Right, I can play this mindlessly if I want to just, a small stress reliever, but at the same time, I am progressing through my game.
Exactly. It gives you, it's not pointless. There's a point to play it.
I like it. Actually, I love it. This is awesome.
And I have two completed so far. I have the match affinity stones here, and I have the memory game as well. Yep, there it is. Okay, so this is your classic match. Here's where you can get all those potions for free. You don't have to buy anything. You can go in here, and if you're
Split.
able to match them over there where it says bonus board clear, you're going to get that special item, and that's random every time you play the game. And those are the ones that you have to build up a lot of potions to be able to make those. But this is where your alchemy place comes in, to where you can get those extra items in your game to, get that little extra edge in battle.
You know what I want? You should make Wordle, and then I can just play this game all the time. That's my morning routine.
The mini games they're just going to be limited to just like a one stage like mini type game.
Gotcha.
Because I don't want to invest all my time into creating all these mini games when the main game itself has a lot more story to develop, a lot more characters, things like that. These are just like stress
Right, yeah,
relievers.
the simple
Yeah,
games, right? That shouldn't take too
yeah,
much of your
exactly.
time. Yes.
Yeah, I have, I think, 10 that I have being developed right now. These are the only two that are complete, though.
I love it. I like it.
Yeah, glad you do.
At first, I was like, "What the heck are these things?" And then, like, now that they
Yeah.
explained it, I deliberately didn't ask, so like I'm gonna find out along with everyone else. So that's kind of cool. All right, so now we get to the last screenshot, and it looks like, is this going to come from Tapjoy or some ad revenue?
It will be this. The only reason this is implemented is for you never have to go here. It's kind of like how DC Legends had that little tiny thing in the corner, and you
Mm-hmm.
could go in there and watch an ad to get extra things.
Yep.
If you want to get extra items, you're a free to play player and you're never going to spend a penny on the game. Here's how you can get extra stuff to build your characters, but this ad revenue will help me pay for the servers.
Perfect. So yeah, even the free to play will have a way to contribute to your game. Yeah, okay.
Exactly. Because there's some people that, they just can't afford a dollar. I mean, I've been that in that position in my life, growing up, and I don't want to make something that forces people to spend money. Sure, I would like it if they did, but there's some people that just can't do it, but they want to still be able to be part of the community and have fun. So this is the way they can basically pay me, if you think about it like that way, if you want to think about it that way. But it's supporting the game if you watch these. But like I said, you don't have to. It's completely optional. You never even have to ever go to this screen. I just wanted to show everybody that there will be the screen and there's extra items. Why would you want to pass up the extra gems that you can use to buy characters in the store later? These add up every day. You buy or go in here and get these, and eventually, you're getting over 100 gems here. And if you have a character for sale for like 2 or 3 thousand gems, you know, every month, this would take about half of that cost away just by watching the ads.
All right. This is cool. All right. So Windy Grew has a question.
Sure.
He's asking if you would consider, if you considered regional prices.
Uh, I have not yet. There's so much like on my plate of trying to figure out what the best way to implement everything is. I still have to think about regional translations. I've got
Oh,
to try and hire people that can translate the game into different languages so it can be offered, in your region. And of course, I will definitely do that, but the game is going to be so low priced anyway. It would be kind of like it really wouldn't make that much of a difference if you get what I'm saying. I mean, if you're going into a game like DC Legends, for example, and you see 99.99 for a character, and you go to another region and it's 79.99, because they just have a different price scheme. That's a big difference. But if you go in and you see a character that's only $29 or $19, that's really not that huge of a cost compared to other games out there. Once it's up and you guys see the pricing, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's going to be as fair as I possibly can make it. Yes, I agree with you, Wendigrew. That is true.
all
But
right.
that's why I was saying, like, my point, about the outrageous prices that these games charge now. Mine is already reduced so much. It's like 25% of what everybody else charges. So it'll be in that lower category automatically, if that makes sense to you.
All right. Cool. All right. So now we're going to the last part of the stream, which is let's talk about your Indiegogo. So now that the people are excited about your game, tell them how they can help you get the game out.
Uh, Support me, go make a little donation if possible. Every little bit helps. I have some perks over there. I mean, yeah, to get a character in the game, it is very expensive. I mean, I have to say that, but you guys don't know how much effort and time is involved in the creation of a character from scratch. I mean, you have to basically initially sketch it out, make the design. You have to go in and is this the live page?
Yes, this is the actual
Okay.
Indiegogo page.
So if you go over to the right side and you scroll down to like one of the characters, like one of the perks on the right side
Yes.
where it's you can
Here.
scroll up. Now you can see what I'm talking about. Like you have the sketched out version of their face, and then you see where I sculpt it all out and I make a 3D model. Then after that, I do what's called retopologizing. I have to go in and make it game ready because when you sculpt a character, it's got millions and millions of polygons, and those can't be played on games. So you got to go in and basically hand draw every single triangle of that character, which is probably about a 4 to 10 hour process, depending on the complexity of the character. Then after you go in there and hand draw every triangle over top, it's like basically tracing over top the high model. Then you have to go in and you have to texture that model, which is in the upper right hand corner of the screen where you see the textures applied to the character. Then after you do that, you combine everything and you make them game ready. So it's a complete process. If it was in a game company, you would have your conceptual artist, you would have a sculptor, you would have a retopologizer, you would have a texture, an animator, but I have to do it all. So it's a lot of work for one person. So that's why the fee is kind of high because I'm making it based off of what you want.
What? Yes.
Yeah. And so that's why. So I know it seems kind of outrageous, but there is a lot of time involved and a lot of effort to do that. So anyway, there's like one left of the Omnipotent, and there's Omega, which these tiers every one of these tiers will be fantastic in the game. It's how you build your character. So don't think like, oh, I missed out on the omnipotent. I've got to choose Omega. Omega can stand up against an omnipotent. Even an alpha can stand up if you choose the right skill sets. So it doesn't mean they're bad. And none of them are the lowest character in the game. I'm not even, offering the lowest characters in the game.
Oh,
I just gave like the top 3 tiers in the game.
and also there you could have the best characters and still don't know how to play the game, right?
Exactly. Anyway, if you want to, I think the lowest tier, I think it's $25. That will get your name in the game. So you can go into the Hall of Fame section and you can be like, "Hey, Joe Smith, that's me. I'm right here. See, I had a part in help making this become a reality." You can show everybody you're in the game. That's what I do for that. And then you just go up the next level. You'll get 10,000 gems. Your account will be pre-registered before the game is released. So that way no one can take, your name or your account. And plus you get your entry. And the next level up of that just basically doubles that. You get 20,000 gems, extra campaign energy, your play tokens to play those little mini games, your account pre-registration, and your Hall of Fame entry. So all of those. If you have a specific character, like I'm coming in and I'm Retpmus and I want to be part of this game, I want to make sure no one steals my name Retpmus, because there can only be one name in the database with that. So there'll have to be like Retpmus 001 or something like that, right? So you want to get your account pre-registered. But if you can't afford any of that, you just want to give, I don't know what the minimum amount is. I think the minimum's $10 at the top. I'm not sure.
It says 25, but
no, I mean you can scroll up. I think there's a make a donation button.
oh, there might be, yeah.
Yeah, there's a plain one.
Oh, not a perk, just a donation. Okay.
Right. I guess see options. That's weird that there's not just a normal. Click the see options button and see what it says.
I don't know.
The big red button.
I know what you're talking about, but I don't want to do it because I may have like, oh, what the heck? All right, you know what? Let's do it. Yeah, $10.
Okay, yeah. So that's what I'm saying. $10 is the lowest that they allow. So I mean, $10 donation, anything at all to help make this come out faster. I have to be able to put this on Apple or on Apple products. I have to get a Mac because they require you to do that, because they link to your development account to the Mac computer. So it's an Apple product putting out an Apple game. You just can't make it on a Windows PC and then publish it. It's not allowed. Mm-hmm. So I have to buy that hardware. That's like one reason. I need this funding to help buy that. This, server costs, different equipment I have to do, a lot of different things. I try to explain down at the bottom of this why, we need this certain amount. But even if we don't make the goal, it's still coming out. It might just be just a little bit longer until I can get the money myself to buy the equipment I need. But you don't have to worry. It still will come out.
Gotcha. All right. So Crush has a question. So one of the biggest problems in DCL is the cheating. So how are you going to avoid that? How are you going to prevent it?
There's a few ways that I have planned, but if I say them straight out here,
right, then it just okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So well, put it this way, I have a few different ways that I'm going to try and prevent this. One, we talked about it earlier. Eventually, we're going to have maybe a playback feature. Like if you look in your thing and you have a team of like level 10 players and they beat your level 90 characters, that's not going to happen. So I will have like those characters where I can go into the database. You just hit the report player button or something like that. Then it'll trigger something on my side saying, oh, this person's being accused of this. Then I can just literally go in and look at the data real fast.
And see what's going
or
on.
Just have the an algorithm go in and say, oh, this much, up. there's no way this character at this level can produce this much damage, then that will inform it, and that can be an automatic ban. You know, or an automatic like ban until further, you know, proof that you didn't cheat comes in or something like that. I do not want any cheating. This is it's already, you know, trying to make it as community friendly as I can possibly, and it's not going to break your bank or take all the money out of your wallet. So I don't know why you want to cheat anyway, but there's people out there that just want to do it so they're number one.
Or people just want to see the world burn.
Yeah, right. So I'm going to try there's a few ways I think I can accomplish it and make it work, because all characters have a level cap of what they can do at a certain ability, no matter what. And you can put implementations in there. If it's above this, then, you know, they've hacked it to let you get the maximum value in that range. So I'm going to try my best to cover it. It might not be right away, but it is a top 3 priority in my list.
Awesome. Okay. And also just you listening that, and also that you're going to acknowledge this should be enough for people to feel comfortable. Okay, I'm not going to lose my investment in this to hackers, because even if they got through, you will eventually address them. And also we have a direct line to you. This guy is really suspicious. Like, come on, man, let's just take
and it. I'll check right into it. I mean, I'm gonna that's the whole thing that's going to make this so different than everything else, because it's going to be for the community. I'm part of the community. I want to have a good relationship with everybody. So it's going to happen that way. I don't see any other way that it's not.
Okay, so I do.
And another important thing I wanted to bring up, okay, DC Legends is gone, and we can never play it again. So one of my goals for this to be, let's just say we go a glorious 7 years on this and time's up, it's just not feasible to keep it out anymore, which I don't think that'll ever happen, because I can constantly make new worlds, new ideas, new dimensions, so it can always be new. But just say, for example, for worst case scenario, that happens. I shut the servers down, all that 7 years that you played it are gone. You never get to touch it again. I don't like that. So what I'm implementing now as I make this is the ability, when that eventually does happen, you will be able to download a version of the database to keep on your phone, computer, wherever, that app will be able to connect to. And I will have it set up to where it does everything for you. You don't have to do anything. So you can play it for as long as you want, and it will be set up to just cycle through every single event that was ever done in those 7 years, from the very beginning to the 7 years, for you to replay over and over. That's what I'm adding to the code as I move on. So that way your investment will never be lost.
That's awesome.
And there is even a possibility of adding in a server connection. I'm going to look into it, to where, let's just say the owls all got together and they're like, well, it's shutting down, but we still want to play, to where you can download that database and host it yourself and just point to that database for a reference. I'm going to look into that ability for later on, if that scenario ever happens. I don't want it to ever happen, but I just want to let everybody know I'm with you guys, and I feel the same way. When I lost something, all that money I invested, that time I invested, I can never play those characters again. I can't ever try and make Dr. Fate work again, you know, and kind of miss that. I want to be able to have the option to play again. So that's one of the things that's always in the back of my mind when I'm doing something like this. If you paid for something, I think you should be entitled to it.
That is awesome. Yeah, I just want to be able to tap Biff daily, right?
Exactly.
All right. So the last question I have for you, Retpmus, before we call it a night. Actually, it's your next day, since you're in the East Coast.
Yeah.
So if you choose any tier, do you automatically get the where is this? The Defense Force Elite and all of the other perks, or no? You just get like, let's say you have an
Oh,
omnipotent tier.
if you paid that much money, you can buy those. No, I'm messing with you. Of course you do. You'll get the elite. The elite will be part of that package.
Gotcha.
I didn't have room. They limited the things that I could add to it because there was actually more that I was offering, but it caps it. They won't let you add any more to it. So I couldn't add
You
in.
cannot
You could
mention
also
it.
get the elite. Yeah, I mean, I really had to cut down the wording a lot, and I was just like, man, this sounds less appealing so much. But yeah, you know, you got me on here. You can use it to validate. You do get the elite package with your character.
Awesome. That's Crush. Yes, we there is one. There
Oh,
is.
there'll be promo codes as well. I'm implementing a promo code system. So like if M4's doing a stream or Atlantis After Dark or WROL or someone like that, anybody, uh, I'll give them a special code. And you have to listen to their podcast and they'll reveal that code and it's going to give you free items in the game. So we'll have that as a little incentive to go out and listen to the other things, support people, and have some fun and get free stuff. Who doesn't like free stuff?
Awesome. All right. So, Retpmus, you got me excited. I know it's coming, but now that I have more details on it, I'm a little
Yeah.
bit more excited. So,
Yeah. That's the only bad thing about it. It's that hurry up and wait.
so
Because
for
there's just, there's so much to do, but I'm working on it. I'm banging away at it, man.
all right, all right. Hopefully, some of those donations help get that
Yes,
map
they do.
up.
I mean, even what I've got now is going to help out greatly. It's enough to get some of the core components I need right away. So, I mean, of course, I want to make my goal. I mean, please help if you can. It's greatly appreciated.
All right. Okay. So everyone, hopefully you get a lot more clarity if you've already heard about this, and if it's your first time, I hope you get excited about a game that can, you know, I know it DCL is like your first girlfriend that you never really forget, your first love. But hopefully this one is the game that you will eventually marry, because it's not gonna die or not gonna break up with us. Not just gonna dump us one day after 7 years. There's no
I
bitterness
appreciate the
whatsoever.
time. I
Of
appreciate
course.
everybody that's still on here and everybody that's tuned in for giving me your time so I can help explain it a little bit and you can help pass on the word. That will help out greatly. Maybe share the link to other people or other Discord channels or Reddit channels or whatever, you think that someone else might be interested in it. That would greatly help out as well. If you can't donate anything, donate, you know, 10 seconds of your time and clicking a link and pasting it somewhere for me. That would be grateful, or I would be grateful.
All right. I'll do what I can to spread the word. And Retpmus, thank you for giving us some hope that there's going to be something that's going to bring the community again together. Because it's such a
Oh,
great community. It's not just the game, right? It's if we
right,
can have those same people again,
right,
playing the same game, would be awesome.
yeah, and that's really what it at heart. That's really what it's all about. It really is. I mean, I do want to, say maybe we'll have contests and stuff too. Like who can create the best new dimension, and you
Mm.
just like give a theme and like what you think should be in it, and maybe that'll become a reality. We can do things like that since it's community based. We want to make things that you guys want, not just what I like. But I know there's so many people that love King Arthur and love supernatural characters and superheroes, so I can't go wrong with those first three as the beginning.
All right. I'm going to tell you now that I am a big, big fan of Japanese medieval culture, samurai culture.
Ooh, awesome. So am I. So am I.
There you
I'm
go.
a, I'm a master in a few different martial arts.
All right. Oh, awesome. All right. So I guess we can agree on what the fourth dimension might be. All right. So I will let you go. It's late in the East Coast, and everyone, thank you for like staying with us, and then also help spread the word, like Retmus says. All right. So Retmus, thank you for joining, and then we'll try and see if we can get this heard throughout the DCL community and beyond. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your evening. All right. And for Retmus out.